Hello, Aquarius. Welcome to Dove and Serpent Tarot. My name is Paul. Thank you so much for joining me here today. If Aquarius is your sun, moon, or rising sign, this is your tarot card reading. Remember to hit the like button, leave a comment, consider subscribing to the channel, especially if this reading resonates with you. If there is anything you would like me to pray over, or meditate upon, or send positive energy toward, please let me know. Now, this is going to be a general reading, so try to be open and receptive to whatever may come through during our time together. I am merely the messenger. And I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I might provide. And remember, Aquarius, that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. All right, beautiful Emperor energy. I feel like you're really in boss mode right now. And I don't know why, but I feel like I've said that to you before recently. Maybe I have, maybe the last reading. But I feel like you're really in your confidence. You're in your energy that just says, I can do it. I am going to do it. I am doing it. You know, you have tremendous discipline right now. Tremendous focus, and I think that is really, this is the energy that is being needed from you. Okay, you have a strong leadership, like natural leadership, but you don't always want to be the leader. I don't find it really is a place that you're always that comfortable in. You know, that you have the good ideas, you have the knowledge, you have the innovation, you have the vision, but you don't want to be the one telling everybody what to do. You know, you prefer to be the person behind the scenes. Yeah. The one that's kind of calling the shots, but not from, you don't want to be the public facing person, I guess, you know. Well, let's see what's going on, because I kind of feel that you need to sort of take control of everything else right now. Maybe it's a time for you to come to the front of the stage, you know, and not to be behind the scenes. Well, let's find out. Let's put this card into some context. Let's see what is going on here. We've got the Tower card. Yeah, I think that a big change is headed your way. All right, here we have the Prince of Swords. We have a Nine of Swords. Nine of Pentacles. That's nice. I feel like this change, I feel like this is a big change, a fated change. I feel like this is a positive change. Okay? But the Tower is always a disruption. Okay? We might be disrupting something that needs to be disrupted, but it's nevertheless, it's going to be a little bit sort of chaotic, right? And then we have the Seven of Cups. We've got the Universe card. We have a Five of Swords. Ace of Pentacles, and the Magician. See, the Magician is the one that's kind of center stage, right? The Magician is the one that's kind of sort of on stage doing it. It's like it's a one-person show kind of thing. But we know about the Magician that it may seem that it's sort of one person on stage doing the thing. There's a lot of energy that goes into it. There's a lot of people behind the scenes. Okay, and I think usually you know that because you're usually the one that's back there doing all of that. We take something like the Magician card and we think, let's think of a magician on stage, right? They're the focus. Everybody, the whole audience is looking at the magician, and they're the one doing these illusions and these miracles on stage, right? Making things happen, you know. Most of us in the audience, when we're watching the show, we're not thinking about all the thousands of hours that the magician was training. We don't think of all the thousands of people, or at least a handful, that are behind the scenes that are sort of setting everything up. It's like it's a 45-minute performance. Well, you think of your favorite like musical act, you know, or even any kind of stage production. Yeah. There's so much that goes on for weeks and maybe months and years before the show. People and just networks and the technology and everything that has to come together perfectly for that one 45-minute play, unless it's a long play, like a 3-hour play or something. But even then, it's a short window of time relative to all of the time and effort that it took to produce that. Okay? If the magician is the performer, then I think our emperor is, well, it'd be the producer. Okay? So all we really, most of us anyway, we see the performance. We see this, we hear the song, we see the movie, we see the band on stage, you know. But we don't realize how much went into producing that 45-minute performance. All the roadies, all the techs, the drum techs, guitar techs, all the bus drivers and the shipping companies and I don't know, whatever, everything, right? There's all sorts of stuff. Most of us aren't aware of that, but I think you're in a unique position because I feel that you've sort of been the producer kind of person. I wonder if now it's time for you to actually take center stage in life in a particular way or a particular situation, okay? I feel like this is the energy that is being, that's being called upon in you. All right, let's select the mystery card, bonus card, confirmation card. This is a random card from the Smith Waite Tarot. This is the factor infinite and unknown. It's going to go right here with Jimbo, the Lizard King, aka Mr. Lizard, right there on top. Don't forget, Aquarius, you are magic. And that's the magician there. Very, very good. We're not going to look at this card until the very end. Okay, but it will tie everything together and it will give us the confirmation that we need at the end of the reading. If you have a prediction, put it in the comments down below. Let's take a look around the room. I find this to be very interesting. We have Emperor, we have a Tower event, and the Magician. This is your breakout moment. This is your breakthrough, the breakthrough time in your life. This is a big fated change and it's finally happening. This is where you get to step from, you know, backstage to center stage. You may not want it, exactly. You know, by looking at the rest of the cards anyway, we see that there's going to be some mental, emotional adjustment. It's going to cause some physical adjustments too, some physical changes. But this is a spiritual process that's taking place, and I feel that it is your death. It is your fate. It is something that's, you know, 1, 2, 3 major arcana energies and plus the universe here. I think it's changing your world. I think this is the stage and this is you on stage, all right? This is a spiritual energy, the spiritual process here. And the rest of the cards, right, which is mainly the water, air, air, and air, and some earth. Now we've got the Prince of Swords down here, which is your superpower card. Okay, I'll ring the bell for you. But it's interesting because this is kind of something that it's down beneath the surface here, see? It's sort of underneath everything. And I feel like that's because you're the reluctant performer. You're the reluctant star, right? This is your fortune and fame, and you're just kind of like, you know, I'd rather just be anonymous. I'd rather be behind the scenes. I have all the good ideas. I have all the talent and all the skill, but I don't want to be the one everybody's looking at, you know? But I think deep down, underneath everything, you realize that, you know, this is your fate. This is who you are. This is yourself. This is your true nature. And we've got to get over the mental, emotional stuff, and we've got to have confidence and faith in ourselves. You know, there's nothing worse, I think, than knowing that you're meant for great things, but being like insecure and not letting yourself pursue those things, not letting your true self out, not letting your Holy Spirit sort of shine, right? I mean, that is the biggest sin in life, I think, right? Is not giving yourself at least the chance to be who you know you're meant to be, or you have the potential to be, right? So this card's underneath the surface, and it's not front and center. This is that part of you that wants to get out, that needs to get out, right? It needs to come to the surface, and I think that's the name of the game here. And when we do that, we get into that 9 of Pentacles. We see the gain. We see the benefit of that. The more you start letting your true nature shine forward and letting yourself, your magical, you know, person take center stage, the more you're going to find life is getting better. Things are growing. Good things are happening. You know, this is kind of like, you know, it's even saying that if you step out from behind the camera and get to the front of the camera, right, or get on stage, if you let yourself really do what you're capable of doing, if you overcome the air and water challenges, right, the heart-mind challenges, the thinking and feeling challenges, if you overcome these challenges and let your true self shine, you're going to see a lot of benefit. It's really going to be good for you. This Nine of Pentacles, I mean, come on, that's gain, that's money coming in, that's progress, that's growth, right? That's sort of your life moving forward, you know, in a way that I think is, on the one hand, you sort of knew it. It's like, yeah, I knew it. I knew it was going to be good. And on the other hand, it's kind of a bit of a shock, you know, and it really is like, it's kind of crazy. It's almost like, I don't believe I'm doing this, you know. I think I think financially, things are going to be unbelievable, okay. I think in terms of your experiences of life, your ability to travel, the things that you're going to be able to do, it's kind of like you've sort of resigned yourself to not having those. Yeah. Excuse me. I have to set my timer here. There we go. It's sort of like we've almost, I don't know. I don't want to say you've given up, because you haven't given up. It's almost as if we become a little bit complacent. You know, we said, you know, life, this is where I belong sort of behind the camera, behind the scenes, backstage, that's where you're comfortable. Doesn't mean that's where you belong, you know. There's so much more. And this Tower card, this is the punctuation of life. This is an exclamation point. This is that first night out on stage with the band, or, you know, maybe you're by yourself, I don't know. This is that first night out on stage, and this is all the stage fright, and this is the moment, the Tower card. This is the moment everything changes. This is the moment the entire universe changes for you. Suddenly your world has become infinitely larger. Okay? It's kind of scary, right? And that's something that we're going to have to deal with. We're going to have to work our way through some of these feelings. Now, the Nine of Swords to me seems like a little bit of, in your past, of discouragement. Okay, and I might be putting that lightly. I don't know how you grew up or where you grew up, but it feels to me like a lot of people told you, you can't, you'll never do it, you're not good at that. I feel like this was you getting put down a lot in your history, in your past, maybe as, you know, childhood. It breaks my heart. I hate to see this card. But in some ways, this card, you know, is a good card. Every card has light and shadow, right? And if we needed to find some light here, it's that at least we realize, I think you know this, that these words are not who you are. That there is no truth in those words. All of that negative energy that you've received, and it feels like it was when you were young, right? That may have discouraged you from taking risks, may have discouraged you from really letting your true nature out and pursuing those things that you know are meant for you. You know, it may have knocked your self-esteem down a little bit, or created some complexes, created some insecurities. You know, at least intellectually, and I think you're about to realize physically and you know, spiritually, that all of those negative words spoken were not true about you. You know, all the times in life that we're told we're no good, or we can't, or we never will, none of that was fact. None of that is real. It felt real, and when you're a kid, you sort of believe it. And even as adults, we believe it. I still hear my dad saying stuff, you know, to me. And I honestly haven't spoken to my dad in it's a couple years now, you know, and that's just, you know, it's a private thing, but I can still hear some of that energy from when I was a kid, not from my dad, from other kids and from just, whatever. Just from the world, trying to sort of knock you down. And there's a moment where we have to realize that all of that is a bunch of bovine excrement. It's a bunch of Bravo Sierra, right? And we're going to, in some ways, use this as motivation, if anything, to say, I'm going to prove all of that negative energy, all those naysayers that I've ever listened to in my life, I'm going to prove them all wrong, right? So in some ways, that's used as motivation. I'm not saying we're happy about this. I'm not saying that everybody needs to have this in their history in order to be motivated. But if it's there already, why not use it as some sort of fuel? Why not turn this into, rocket fuel to get our afterburners fired up, and get our rocket going, okay? Because this is that moment where everything changes for you. And you're going to see a lot of progress in life now. And so in some ways we have a 9 and a 9, and the 9s are all about progress, right? Sometimes the 9 of Swords is saying, well, this is a painful truth that at least now is showing that there's some progress going on. So it's like, okay, well, I didn't want to hear this, but I'm glad I did because now I can move forward, right? In your case, I think that this is kind of the opposite. This is something that you did hear, and now you still have to sort of move forward from it. Not because this is the truth that then you have to deal with, but we have to realize that this was not the truth. Okay? That you are not all these negative things that people have said to you or whatever it was. I don't want to say that I don't want to act like I know your history. Okay? But that 9 of Swords is there, and whatever it represents for you, this is sort of, it's one of the things that I think have kept you sort of behind the scenes, okay? And, another thing is going to be the 7 of Cups. Now, the 7 of Cups is going to be interesting because as you make this progress and as you move forward, there's a tendency to rebel, to go to the other extreme from this one, right? So this is kind of denying ourselves the opportunity because we feel that we're not worth it, or we've been told that we're no good, right? That the value of ourselves has sort of diminished. This is sort of the other way around, right? The 7 of Cups is kind of an overindulgence in the good things in a way. And so we have to be careful of that. We don't want to deny ourselves and think that I'm not worth it, but then we don't want to get caught up in the glamour of this being on stage, if you're going to becoming the rock star or the famous author or whatever it is. If you're sort of standing up and being the one that's going to do the thing, and then everyone's going to be looking at you, you've got to stay humble. You've got to stay you got to keep a level head on your shoulders. Okay, because moving forward, there is a tendency now to sort of get caught up in the swamp, to get caught in the quicksand of all of this. I think sudden attention, sudden pleasure, sudden rewards, all this. It's really with the 9 of Pentacles and the 7 of Cups, a sudden increase of money sometimes leads us into some sticky situations, okay? And so the card is here, I think, to keep that sort of in mind for you. Okay, that we don't want to fall into that trap. Just like this was a trap. Believing all the negative energy and believing, really not believing in ourselves, right? Because we're believing all that negative stuff that we've been told. That's a trap. And then, of course, succumbing to, let's say the lifestyle creep or the indulgence that this sort of freedom or this, let's say this is a bunch of money all at once, and then we sort of fall into a trap, okay? So we're being told to avoid that too. And very reasonable stuff. Moving to the path of the serpent, I'd like to ask for your subscription. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. It's totally free, doesn't cost anything. It supports the channel, and so it's a win-win situation, right? The world or universe card is your general energy now. And I think, like I said, that tower moment, that punctuation, that is you breaking through into outer space. You're breaking through it's like the escape velocity. You're breaking through the Earth's gravity, and you're in wide open space now. Okay? A new world is opening to you. And I think that you're going to be experiencing aspects of life that not very many people get to experience. And it's going to be wild, I think. It's almost like there's going to be no restrictions put on you, no limitations. Okay? This also is kind of the expanding universe. So there's this feeling that sort of the more popular you get, let's say you're a rock star, or you're becoming a well-known actor, or whatever your success is. I feel like the more popular you get, the more your universe expands, the further away we tend to feel from people. Right? I think we all know that, even though it seems counterintuitive. You get more popular, but then there's less closeness. It becomes quantity over quality. Okay? And this is another thing that you've got to be ready for. And so I think the next card is very important too, the Five of Swords. We've got to make sure that you stay close to your people. You focus on those intimate relationships. That you try to really to get to know people, and you try to have personal, private, intimate relationships, okay? Because as the universe expands, I think you sort of, you think of an expanding universe, the stars, right, are getting further and further apart. And then we start to feel sort of Nine of Swords again. And maybe it's a feeling of isolation, maybe it's a feeling of guilt or regret, maybe we feel like we should have kept our true talents hidden, and not pursued this big, this big goal in life, right? And the Five of Swords is going to be that sort of doubt. It's going to be that questioning, that what am I doing? Why am I doing this? How do I navigate this new world? And I think that because this card is in the position of your environment, it's very important that you have people close to you that you can communicate with. And again, the more successful you get, and I don't know if it's popularity, I don't know if you're going to be a rock star or whatever, but the more successful you get, the more important it is to maintain your friendships and your intimate relationships, because it's going to get harder to do so. Okay, so keep that in mind. You're going to need to keep your people close, because as the universe expands, it's going to be very easy to fall out of touch with people that really mean something to you. Okay. Now the next card is what we need, and this is an Ace of Pentacles, and this is really taking that first step. Okay, this is the opportunity, this abrupt change in life, and it's chaos, right? You've got to be able to sort of organize your thoughts and plans and take the next step really out on stage. Okay, and this is, it's kind of, when we're over here, this is the card we don't want, because it's the first step and it's the most difficult, right? When, you blow the doors off of something, you got to take that step inside, but we're reluctant to do that over here, because the first step is always the hardest, right? But when you're over here, this becomes the card we need. And it really is like the musician or the magician stepping out on stage for that first time, taking that first step into this new world, into this new life, into this new role, is the most difficult. Okay, but once you do, then I think the ball really gets rolling and the ace becomes the 9. And the 9, of course, is that ongoing sort of rhythm of life. It's the process now. And now you're falling into the groove of it, and it's becoming maybe not easier, but it's becoming more familiar, and you realize that this is your job, this is your work, this is what you do. Yeah. And the magician is the one that can adapt to it, Sometimes with the emperor, it's somebody who's so fixed in what they're doing that it's difficult for them to innovate. It's difficult for them to really step outside the box and do anything different. The Emperor is the fourth mystery of the tarot, right? And the fours are always kind of boxed in. It's kind of like we have these ways of doing things, we just get stuck in them. The Magician, of course, is the number one, right? It is the ultimate energy of change and adaptation and taking those first steps and doing new things and constructing this new reality, finding your way in this new role. Whether you're going from just an employee to like a boss, whether you're going from someone who's backstage to now you're coming out front stage, or if you worked sort of in production, now you're going to be actually on camera, something like this. It's important that you have faith in your abilities, okay? And this really is this is skill. This is you knowing that you have everything that it takes to do this. It's just a matter of believing in yourself and not letting the negative thoughts and feelings interfere with your ability to let that magic flow from you. Because it's there and it wants to flow and it's going to, but we don't want to interrupt that flow, right? It's the same with this fire and earth thing and being the conduit of the divine light, right? The Magician is that sort of clear channel of divine energy. And it's always the heart and the mind that sort of interfere with that and slow it down. So in some ways we are just trusting in the divine, trusting in ourselves that this energy will flow from us and we will perform wonderfully in this new role, whatever it might be. And maybe it's not going to be an international superstar kind of fortune and fame sort of thing, but whatever it is, it's going to feel like that. It's going to feel like you're going to be self-conscious at first. All the eyes are going to be on you. Okay? But just let the heart and the mind quiet down and just let that energy flow. Okay, let's look at the mystery card and see maybe another Magician, right? I think maybe it'll be the Star card, honestly. It'll be your superpower card. If you have a prediction, put it in the comments down below. Let's see what we have. Seven of Wands. Okay, this is the anxiety of being on stage. Makes sense. It's fine. Because you're sort of up there and everybody's looking at you and you're trying to sort of fight them off, This is a little bit of that self-consciousness, but it's also your ability to keep working at something. Now, just because we have this energy here, we have that Magician at the end, doesn't mean that the first time you go and do this, you're going to be a master, right? Because I don't think we can turn off our heart and mind just like that. Maybe we said, just quiet it down and just let the energy flow forth from you and you're going to be fine, right? Yes, but it's not always that easy. It's a process, and we've got to fight for it. We've got to work for it. We've got to hone our skills, and we've got to keep doing it. It's like maybe you're a stand-up comic or something, right? You're going to bomb a lot. You're going to have to fight off the hecklers, But the more you do it, the more you're going to become that pure, clear conduit of divine energy. Your heart and your mind are not going to interfere as much, and eventually we're going to get more and more pure. Okay, but it's going to take work. So this is the card, I think, reminding us that it's not going to be an instant perfection. Masters are developed, right? And this is, in a way, with the Magician card represents skill. You may have the talent and all this divine energy and everything's, perfect, but you need to develop the skill, and it does take work. Maybe there's going to be some days where it feels like you're sort of fighting a losing battle. But this is where you belong, and I think this is what you've been sort of waiting for. But we've been reluctant to we've been anxious about it, reluctant maybe to do it, hesitant, because it is going to be challenging. We are going to be self-conscious about it, But I think that you've known this is coming and you're ready for it. I think it's going to be absolutely marvelous. We're going to do an extended reading. That'll be marvelous too. Click on the link in the corner. There's one down below. New readings for Aquarius are on Thursdays and Sundays. Be sure to watch both readings. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do. It is totally free, doesn't cost anything. Leave a comment. Let me know where in the world you're watching from. I want you to know that you're the most important part of Dove and Serpent Tarot. I thank you and I love you, and we're all in this together.